things. You want to do a red and green bow, or, you know, I guess, and we didn't, oh, we brought out a roll of like that color ribbon, that color mixed with this yellow to make just a beautiful ball. Something I didn't realize we have, but I'm gonna back up. No, let's do with the yellow and the red.
That's another good rule. Don't ever be afraid to start over if you don't like what you've ended up with.
Yeah. And that's what the wastebasket is for too, if it doesn't work out exactly right the first time.
And Bob does make it look very easy, but it does take practice. But once you get the hang of it, one day you'll be working on it and you'll just get it and you'll be able to do them in your sleep after that. But like you said, it takes some practice and you'll have to make a few that you're not real happy with first, but then you'll finally get it and it'll be just a piece of cake.
My grandmother and my grandfather and uncle and a couple of aunts had a flower shop in Dallas for many years, which is where I grew up going and spending the summer. My grandmother in her later years had glaucoma and was virtually blind, and yet she still loved to work, and one of her jobs was making bows, because she could sit there and even if she couldn't see real well what she was doing, her hands had done it for so long that she continued to be able to make bows long after she had totally lost her vision. Like Donna says, where your hands just kind of do this automatically, and you can really impress your friends. You can sit there and carry on a conversation while you're making bows and things like that, and not even looking at what you're doing.
Does it matter about the type of ribbon? I mean, is it more?
No, it really doesn't. You can use just about any type. I like the crisp satin ribbons. However, once these things get wet, they get real limp. If you have a lot of humidity, they don't hold up real well. So there are different types of ribbons. This ribbon has a little bit heavier edge to it. Some of them actually have wired edges to them. There are plasticized ribbons, which of course are used for outdoor bows especially, but the principle is the same on all of them. Sometimes it gets real easy because some of the fancy ribbons, they don't have a dull side and a shiny side. You can just do just about anything you like. We do the same thing with one or both ribbons. We'll put a circular loop in the middle.
One advantage to the type of ribbon he's using right there is it comes in a wide range of colors. Most of your floral supply places will carry it, and you can get it in almost any color you need. So that's one advantage to that.
And I have no idea what the numbers correspond to, but these ribbons are always, their size is given to you in terms of numbers. This is number 9. Then you get one about this wide that's number 40. And then you get number 2, which is, what is this? This is not even marked. I suspect this is probably number 4. That may be what that number means. But anyway, if you want to pretend you're a wholesale customer and go down to Chanel's or somewhere, you walk in and say, I want some number 9 red ribbon, and they assume you know what you're talking about, so they give you a roll of red ribbon and you don't have to pay the same price you do at Michael's for it. But anyway, you can create, again, a 2-tone bow, and again, with the croton, something like that, or on the mums, it works real well. Let me show you the technique if you want to make a bow that you're going to tie with a piece of ribbon, so that you could like put it on a box or something like that. Let's just red since it's getting toward the season. You begin with your piece of ribbon that you're going to tie the bow with. And the biggest problem, if you're not careful, you're trying to tie with this wide ribbon, and it's real hard to get the bow to really come together. So the first thing you do is make a knot in the ribbon. Try to get it fairly close to the center of the piece of ribbon. And this knot is going to be what goes right through the center of your bow. This can make all the difference when we actually tie off our bow with that. So now let's just make the standard bow that we talked about. Always twisting to bring that shiny side to the front.
tell he's done that a few times.
And I'm not trying to be quick today. When we got an order of 50 poinsettias to go out in 30 minutes, you can tie these things real quickly if you have to.
And we will have some beautiful poinsettias coming in next week. We're getting a shipment. Is it Monday or Tuesday they're gonna be done?
I think they're coming Monday.
They sent us this one sample to see what they're gonna look like, but they're generally just absolutely gorgeous, and all different sizes. That's the most common 6-inch size
great.
right there.
You're not gonna find one of those in the grocery store. That's just a little 6-inch font.
So when you're making your bow, you do wanna consider the size of the plant you're putting it on. Obviously, if you're doing something that size, the type bow he's making here is appropriate. If you have a huge poinsettia bush or tree, you wanna make a larger bow. You know, you might wanna do the double bow like he had done. So, you know, consider the proportion of the size of the plant. Little 4-inch, you're gonna wanna do some of the narrow ribbon on.
Simply take this and substitute this instead of the wire. I will admit that I occasionally drop a bow when I'm doing this, which again isn't the end of the world. You just utter a few things and pick it up and start over. I would also mention if you have a cat, cats are very useful in helping to make bows, and they really do enjoy the process. So feel free to involve your 4-legged family, you know, in the bow making process. Now, which is the one? Don't forget which is the end of the bow that you're working with. That's not it.
Thank you for sharing that knot, because
Yeah.
I've tried it with the ribbon before, and
Doesn't work.
it doesn't work well.
When you put that knot in the middle, and again, just rearrange slightly to keep the tails going all different directions. But anyway, you can end up with basically the same bow that you had when you were tying the plant, and you can attach that to your package. And again, it's just a little nicer than those stick-on bows. It looks so good, but they look like what they are. They're something made by a machine. Okay, let's say that you have grown a plant yourself that you want to decorate and dress as the florist would. Florist foil,
Here's the small one.
yeah, I was just going to show them. Florist foil comes in a number of widths. You can see this one's about 3 inches longer than the bottom one, or 4 inches longer. There's one that's wider still. And if you're doing big pots, it's a lot easier to get the wider roll of foil than it is to try to overlap it with 2 of the narrow ones. But it doesn't make any difference. You can simply roll out 2 sheets, have them overlapped about a third, and use that to dress a big pot if you want. There are also inexpensive foils that are nothing except foil. And let me tell you, they rip, they tear, they are a real pain to work with. The better foils are what they call the plastifoils that have either a layer of plastic attached to the aluminized foil portion. Sometimes it'll be sandwiched in between the 2 layers. But anyway, this is certainly worth the money if you're going to be dressing very many plants, because it really, excuse me, really does hold up much better. You want to start with basically a square piece of foil. Sharp scissors are a very good thing. And one thing that I like to do if I have time for most plants, there's basically your square piece of foil, but if you want to make it look a little bit more tailored, a little bit more finished when you use it to dress a plant, take your scissors and take off these corners. Just take and just, you know, kind of round it out, like so. What's that?
The squirrels are all over the place.
Oh, they've been.
Trying to be part of the show.
I think they are.